43 points, 7 rebounds and 2 blocks. That was the game 1 stat line for Anthony Edwards as his Timberwolves stole home court advantage. Are the reigning champions really about to be bounced in the second round, or can the likely 3-time MVP keep Denver's hopes of a back-to-back championship alive? In the comments beneath my previous video, Dex made a prediction which actually turned out to be true. He said if Denver play their B or C grade game, like they did against the Lakers, the Wolves will win the series. And that was put on full display in game 1. The Nuggets came out lackadaisical, allowing Minnesota to build a 14-point lead early in the first quarter. However, in classic Nuggets fashion, they would retake the lead only moments later. But if the Nuggets could start games as well as they played to get back into it, it would have been a very different story. Part of what slowed the Nuggets down to begin the game was the matchups. To start the game, the Timberwolves coaching staff threw a curveball at Denver, putting Cat on Jokic and using Rudy as a help defender, and most surprisingly, assigning Anthony Edwards to Jamal Murray. In his first possession of the game, it was clear that Jamal Murray was not going to be able to take advantage of the Anthony Edwards matchup, as he was clamped, which resulted in a turnover. Edwards was absolutely everywhere defensively, blocking 2 shots and keeping Murray scoreless in the first half, while the Wolves also alternated between Ant and McDaniels. The Wolves' strategy on Jokic was like a tag team wrestling match, switching between Ant and Gobert. With 2 different bigs on Jokic, it'll make it very difficult for him to get them both in foul trouble, as he's going to have a tough matchup every time. However, when you're Nikola Jokic, nothing's really a tough matchup. Jokic is on a historical stretch, but not for a good reason. In his last 2 games, the Joker has turned the ball over a total of 14 times. This had a lot to do with the elite defense that Minnesota threw at him in game 1. The Timberwolves defense out the gate was all over the Nuggets offense, forcing them to begin their possessions further out than normal, which was clearly making Denver uncomfortable, resulting in broken plays and forcing up bad shots. Throughout the first half of action, Denver was only able to put up 44 points on only 40% shooting. This goes to show you just how good the Timberwolves defense is and why the Nuggets can't take them lightly, as they're going to have to be much better with the ball, as over the course of the game, Minnesota was able to force 12 turnovers out of the usually elite Nuggets offense. Back to Jamal Murray though, he wasn't able to put up a single point in the opening half, shooting 0 of 5 from the field, as his calf injury makes him look a step slower and a little less explosive. He was still able to have some impact on the game, dishing out 2 assists, but in the second half he flipped the script, as he led Denver in scoring, putting up 17 points on 66% shooting. For Denver to win the series though, he'll need to perform at this level for a full 48 minutes every game, especially when your bench unit isn't consistent enough to keep you in games. As usual, Denver's bench gave them virtually nothing, getting outscored by Naz Reid alone, 15-23. What makes this even worse is the fact that this is a good game by their standards, as Denver usually get even less production. The pressure that the lack of bench scoring puts on Denver's starting 5 is enormous, especially if Murray and KCP are both dealing with injuries. With a hobbled backcourt, it opened the door for Anthony Edwards to attack. The Ant-Man was shot out of a cannon in game 1, and on his very first possession, we all knew what was coming, as he made this heavily contested corner 3 over KCP, and then sticked an N1 on Jamal Murray. In the first half, he carried the offense of the Timberwolves, as by halftime, he had 25 of the team's 40 points. And on this play, Edwards proved me right, as in my preview video, I said if Denver tries to put Gordon on Edwards, he'll be able to use his speed to get by him, and that's exactly what happened on multiple occasions. On this play in particular, Conley gets out in transition and just gives the ball to Ant. As Gordon moves to close the gap, Edward attacks the middle of the floor and easily gets to the cut for 2 before Jokic can even think about providing help defense. And when the Nuggets put KCP on him, Edwards was thinking KFC, as he was clearly too strong for him to handle. Ant was like this all game long, using his speed if Gordon was the matchup and his strength if KCP was on him, cruising to a 43-point game. For Denver, Nikola Jokic just had one of the worst 30-point near triple-double games you'll ever see, and here's why. Game 1 saw the Joker continue to turn the ball over, losing it a total of 7 times, but surprisingly, he still managed to put up 32, 8, and 9 with 3 steals. Jokic will need to be better with the ball for the rest of the series, otherwise the Nuggets will be in real danger to join the Lakers in Cancun. But to look on the bright side, his defense is extremely underrated, as he is currently the leader in playoff defensive box plus minus, while leading the offensive and overall box plus minus stats too. Another underrated strength of his game is the 3-point shooting, which he went to way more than he usually would in game 1, as he couldn't get anything going inside, and when he did try, it led to turnovers and missed shots. But even the 3-point shooting wasn't falling, making 2 out of 9. So how did he get to 32 points? Well, he got to the free throw line, making 8 from 8 from the stripe, while also getting Cat in foul trouble. Getting Karl-Anthony Towns in foul trouble is a great way to slow down Minnesota's already bleak offense, and I'll explain why Cat is so deadly in the series. Karl-Anthony Towns has proven that he is most definitely the wild card for the Timberwolves, as to open the second half, he scored a quick 7 straight points, as he made it clear to the Nuggets defense that he's too versatile to ignore, connecting on a 3 and then making 2 off-balance drives, one for a floater and one for a layup. And even earlier in the game, he showed off his underrated passing ability, finding Edwards on a backdoor cut and then hitting Rudy on an open dunk underneath. But the same problem remains as yet again Cat gets himself into foul trouble. He picked up 2 really quick ones on Jokic within 10 seconds of each other, but luckily for Minnesota, Naz Reid was able to come in and give them a miraculous fourth quarter performance for the ages, but I'll get to that in just a second. If Cat gets himself into foul trouble again, which I've got a feeling he will, I'm not sure you're going to be able to win games consistently with Cat on the bench, as he only saw the court for 30 minutes in game 1, as Cat is just too valuable to only be playing 30 minutes a night. However, in any other game, if Cat only plays 30 minutes and gets into foul trouble, it should be a loss, but give credit to the 6th man of the year, Naz Reid, who not only filled in but showed out, scoring 14 of his 16 points in the fourth quarter, including a miraculous 3 which he banged in, and then showed off his hustle with this putback slam, which allowed Minnesota to hold off Denver while Ant was on the bench to start the quarter. If Denver can get more performances like this from Naz Reid, it will go a long way to winning the series for sure. But still, the question remains, are we about to see the reigning champs get bounced in the second round, or will they stage a comeback? For me, the Timberwolves winning the series is definitely not out of the question, but from here, I'd still take Denver, as if they can protect home court in game 2, they would then retake the home court advantage. The experience of winning a title only a season ago will drive this Nuggets team to get back into the series, as right now I still have the Nuggets winning in 7 games even after the game 1 loss. Will Denver be able to bounce back and win this series, or will Minnesota be heading to the conference finals and maybe even their first title? Let me know in the comments below.